Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show, live on WBON-TV Channel 9 and on radio at V99.3, Sports Radio 103.5 and Y92.5. Support your favorite local teams and enjoy the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show. Also brought to you by Bishop Small Engine Repair, Nuevo Vallarta, and the law offices of Patrick O'Neill. Now let's go live to your hosts, Michael Watkins and Samantha Burford.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show. It is Monday night. Listen, we have a great show for you. The Madison Central State Champion cheerleaders and Coach Karen Feldhaus will be here tonight, probably around 6:25, 6:30, so don't go anywhere because we're going to get lots of questions, lots of answers, hearing about all the great things leading up to this championship because, you know, a lot of people think cheer is easy. I, as a parent, former parent of cheerleaders, know that it is not. So super excited for them. We're going to help celebrate this big win and hear all about their national competition that's going to be coming up pretty soon. But before we do that, Michael Watkins is missing again. He will be, let's say, for the beginning of the show until about mid-February. He's, as you remember, back in December, he started coaching his son's basketball league. So he won't get out of that until about 6, and he'll join us in our next commercial break. But for that time being, we're going to talk about Isaiah Cozart, the Madison Central basketball superstar. I think a lot of you guys will remember him. I'm going to read this for you tonight. You guys remember Isaiah Cozart. He's currently playing basketball over in France after accomplishing so much during the time in both uniforms here locally because he played for Madison Central and EKU. He was in town for a few days during the holidays, spending time with his family, and we got to watch this year's Madison Central team play and was able to do an interview with Michael, just a quick interview, where he talks about his high school career, the impact Coach Feldhaus had on him, and the process of trying out for the NBA teams. So here's an interview with Isaiah Cozart.
Here with Isaiah Cozart, Madison County sports legend. We had a terrific high school career at Madison Central, went on to do great things at the college level and now playing professionally overseas. Isaiah, first of all, man, thanks for taking the time out of your day to chat with us here. Congratulations on all your success. And before we get into, all the things that are going on, tell us a little bit about, what you're doing now, and then we'll look back at all the stuff that kind of led to where you're at in your career now.
Yeah, well, first, thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it. Right now I'm in France, Nancy, France. I'm playing professional basketball over there. We're about halfway through our season so far, doing pretty well. But it's been a very good experience overall.
So before we get into how you ended up where you're at now, let's look back at your tremendous high school career. Obviously, part of some really good teams at Madison Central, some deep postseason runs, and breaking the all-time blocks record during your time at Madison Central. When you look back on your high school career, what's the one thing that sticks out most to you about your time playing for the Indians?
One thing I'd have to say is probably just I think, there's a lot of things really, that time in my life, I can't really imagine myself being in any other high school than Madison Central. But, I think biggest thing was probably just, my coach, Coach Feldhaus. I feel like everything that's been said about him has already been said, but, he was, obviously an amazing coach for me, really helped me develop, through those few awkward years. I was still growing into my body and stuff and just trying to figure everything out. But, he really, really helped me develop my game and, get me to the next level. So, I always appreciate him for that. My teammates over there were great. I loved the school. It was a really good situation, really good team to be on, I think.
You talked about Coach Feldhouse, and for you, what I remember about you in high school, where you were very reserved. You kind of let your game do the talking. Was it
Mhm.
was it hard being more of a quiet kid and having Coach Feldhouse, who was an intense coach? Obviously he knows how to cut up and do the things to kind of make him a player's coach, but he's also really good at getting into you, hold you accountable. Talk about your
I
relationship
mean,
with him and what that was.
honestly, that's something that I think I remember my parents were worried about as well. When I was a freshman in high school, was just seeing like if I actually was going to be able to, jive with the coach, and have a good relationship with him and stuff. And if he was going to have a good relationship with me, but I had honestly, funnily enough, him being as he is never really, affected me too much, back in the day, especially because, before high school, I'd already, played AAU a couple times. I had some very, very aggressive coaches too. So, you know, Coach Fieldhouse, it wasn't really anything new for me, but I think he kind of he made it his mission, I think, to try and get me out of my shell a lot those first couple years. So, and I'm not gonna seriously, I didn't make it hard for him, but I kind of um, I like that he would take time out of his day, or just really like take time to uh, focus on me and try and develop me not just in basketball, but just in other ways too. So I do appreciate him for that.
When you talk about your team, that when you were there and all the winning that you guys did, to me, there's two things that I remember you being remembered about. One, obviously the blocks, because you had a lot of those in your high school career. Obviously, you set that record. I think it's been broken since you broke it when you were in high school.
But
But
yeah, got broken the first year that I left when I was in college.
okay. So yeah, it was a kid from Bath County, I believe, or something that broke it.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that record stood for a long time. You didn't get to have the record very long, but blocks are something that are taken into more account now. But also the dance moves. You had some dance moves back in the day. So do you
Yes.
do you, do you
Yeah.
remember the dance moves that you did in the locker room to kind of spark some their video kind of went viral for you?
Yeah, not only did it get viral, but that video followed me from college to college. Went from Western, you know, they saw it every time, whenever one time when we got a win, they asked me to do the dance then. Eastern, they asked
Oh
me to
yeah.
do the dance then, so I didn't expect, just a silly little video like that to to follow me for so long, but yeah, it did. It
That's what
did.
social media is for now. It's hard once one video gets out. I mean, it's hard to ever escape it. But
Mhm.
as far as that dance move go, where did you learn that from? I mean, that kind of just hits you in the moment, or was that something you had to practice?
No, no, I think it was Fortnite.
Ah, okay,
Um,
okay.
yeah, I think it was Fortnite.
Well, I'm just now getting into the Fortnite phase with my kids, so I'm gonna try to learn that dance move and perfect it. We'll call it the Cozart if we do, though.
Never
Uh,
too late, man.
well, continuing on with the high school stuff, before we get into college stuff, you were just in town. I saw you a couple of weeks ago in between, during the holiday season. You
Mhm.
got to watch this year's Madison Central team. We know how good they are, ranked top 5 in the state. What was it? What did you notice from this year's team that fans should be excited about as they kind of finish out their campaign?
Well, a few things. When I went in there, I wasn't really expecting. I mean, I knew they were good, but I wasn't expecting them to be as cohesive with each other
Yeah.
as I thought. They, really do play as a team. Getting everybody passes. I thought, Coach Fedhouse's nephew. I thought he was going to be getting the majority of the touches, but honestly, everybody shared the ball. Everybody was making good passes, getting good shots and stuff, and also the aggressiveness. Most teams, they usually like to, just kind of sit at the three and shoot, and maybe, once they get back on defense, kind of like play a zone, sort of lackadaisical. But no, I mean, this team is very aggressive. And although they do shoot the three, they're also really good at getting, those offensive rebounds and putbacks and stuff. They're a pretty big team. I was surprised. So, but yeah, I I think they're going to go very far this year.
They got a really good team, and it's fun to watch them. And I always ask Coach Feldhouse to kind of compare years. Or, does this team remind you of any team? But this team seems so unique because they've got size, they've got physicality, they've got some experience. We know with a lot of these guys getting to play 2 or 3 years before their senior year. So feel like this team is a kind of unique. When you look at the decision for you after high school, and I know there were a lot of folks that wanted you to stay in Richmond, but for you, I feel like the way, going to Western and then coming back to Eastern and really, creating a legacy for yourself there. First, talk about the decision to go to WKU, and was that a hard decision for you, or is that something that you kind of wanted from the start?
It was, and I mean, well, I'd say it was a bit of both. I did want to go to WKU for a while, but I also wanted to go to schools like Belmont and UNC Asheville and stuff. So, I mean, it was a tough decision, and I get like from an outside perspective, it kind of seems like Western sort of just swooped in the last minute and kind of stole me up, but no, it was a decision that we thought about for a while, prayed about for a while, and at the time I figured it was the best, place for me to be at. Obviously hindsight is 2020, but it was for what it was. I still think I learned a lot of good things over there. Still think the people I met over there were great. I think the just the overall experience over there was still a good one.
When you look on your time there, how do you think that, being at Western and going through all of that helped create or helped made it kind of maybe motivate you or to do all the things that you were able to do when you did finally end up in Richmond?
Yeah, it motivated me a lot. I mean, obviously not playing near as much as I wanted to at Western helped a lot, but I had a lot of other things going on that sort of fueled that need to go somewhere else and do more. And I think Eastern, for what it was, whenever Coach AW and came at me with recruiting after I announced I was going into the transfer portal, I think he had the sort of perfect pitch, if you want to call it that, where he was basically like, we're gonna you're gonna work, but you're gonna develop, you're gonna be like the best you can be for us. And that's honestly at the time that's just all I wanted was to be the best version of myself, because I knew at Western I wasn't achieving that. So once I got to Eastern, I knew I had to put in a ton of work, to sort of flip the script and do better. So
That may be one of the hardest secrets that I ever had to keep quiet, because I found out maybe a day or two before you made the decision. Again, I was working because I wanted you to come to Eastern. I think everybody that was an Eastern fan that obviously follows Madison Central wanted that. But talking to your mom, I think even Coach Hamilton had maybe let me know that that decision was coming up pretty quick. And just the excitement of knowing that you were going to be back here and then seeing what you were able to do. Did you talk? Or was there?
Speaking of secrets, no, I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Speaking of secrets, I think I've said it before actually, but I was honestly like when I committed to Eastern, I was honestly scared, how the fans were gonna react. If they were gonna welcome me back, or start booing me when I got over there and started playing. But no, the fans really came through. I was surprised by all the love that I got once it was public that I was going to Eastern. Like nothing ever happened. They just kind of joked that I should have made that decision in the first place. So.
Well, Michael Moreno, that's a name that I feel like you're forever going to be linked to, because you guys had some battles in high school. and then obviously what you were able to do as teammates in the maroon and white. Talk about him, and do you guys still conversate some? Do you? I mean, I know whenever you leave college, you build these relationships. It's hard to kind of keep them going. But did he kind of help in the process of getting you to come to Richmond? Was he able to kind of get in there and be like, "Hey, you should come play with us"? What's your relationship like with him? Because I know you guys were very big rivals in high school, and then you end up playing side by side and doing great things in Richmond at DKU.
Yeah, we were pretty close. I definitely don't talk to him as much anymore, but for the time, I appreciate him. I appreciate him. I'm sure he put in a good word for me here and there with A-Dub, to get me over here faster and stuff. And he was a great teammate, great shooter, really good shooter. He just couldn't. There's just one thing. He couldn't resist bringing up, Scott County and Central's rivalry. We never won against them, and I was just couldn't help himself to bring it up every now and then. And I would be like, well, he would say like, well, we're like, I don't know, what was it like? We played him like 4 times, like 4-0 against him. I'd be like, well, I mean, I had like 28, 30. So it's beat. Just be a
Well,
little
at least
back.
you had some stats to kind of back up your game, right?
Yeah, but it was just a funny thing we do.
When you look back on your time at Eastern, I mean, the success that you had there, could you ever have imagined that, when you make that transition to come back to have the success that you was that maybe a goal or a thought, or when you look back, like, man, I really was able to do that?
Honestly, no. I mean, well, I think I remember telling my dad it's like if you said that I was going to do all the things that I did at Eastern, when I was at Western, I would have probably laughed in your face. Just, I knew I would have to, work hard. I knew I was going to work hard and, going to try my best to get some playing time once I went to Eastern, but I had no idea, just how much, my game would develop and, and how much importance I would have on that team, until I'd say about partially midway through the season, I think my first year. But, even then I still had no idea, what was in store for me like that second year and stuff. So, I mean, it's a blessing for sure. It's all the nights of, praying for a better situation and just hoping and working stuff. Just, it was very, very satisfying to, see it pay off. So,
I think you are kind of one of the stories that makes the transfer portal make sense. There's a lot of times where you think you're going to the best situation, you think you're going to go and just take that next step from being a great high school player to being a great college player, but it doesn't always work that way. And you hear a lot of negative things about the transfer portal, but I think this is why it's important because you see the jump that you made. I mean, without the transfer portal, you don't be able to do what you were able to do. So when you hear things negatively about that, I think it's good to kind of point out, but there are some really good situations that come from that as well.
yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased when it comes to that whole argument, but I can see. I mean, it's a double-sided coin. Like
It is.
you have situations where players leave a team after a year to go to another team, then leave that team, go to another team, and it kind of what's the word? Sort of just muddles the pot a little bit.
Yeah.
When everybody's moving around and stuff, but at the same time, some situations really are, you know not good for a player that wants to either play or maybe they just don't have a good relationship with the coach or their teammates and stuff, or just for whatever reason. There's definitely for sure justified reasons of transferring. That's at the end of the day, I'm glad the transfer portal exists. If it didn't, I wouldn't be where I was, and a lot of players wouldn't be where they are right now. So.
But so after Eastern, you end up, playing professionally overseas. You said you started in Germany and talked about where you were at now. But talk about that process. Yeah, and was there ever a situation where maybe an NBA team was interested? Did you do any NBA workouts and the process of ending up going overseas?
Yeah, I did a couple of workouts. Honestly, that first summer after my second year at Eastern was probably the most hectic. This past summer wasn't nearly as bad as that first, but that first summer, we're going through, we're going through, NBA workouts. We were, doing, just different types of tournaments and stuff, and you know, it was uh it was a lot, but obviously I learned a lot during that process, just about, the recruitment process, getting an agent, finding a good club or organization overseas and stuff. And, also trying to get my stock up for the NBA, it was definitely a good learning experience overall.
All right, so now in France playing, talk about, what had the league there you're playing in and kind of, are folks able to watch anywhere? Because I mean, I know there's a lot of folks that would love to be able to support you and see that you're still doing big things on the basketball court.
Yeah, Germany was a bit of a struggle because um, the overseas viewership over there, or at least like how to watch, if you're in the United States, is kind of hard unless you have like a VPN or something. But France is a bit easier. There's a few links, that I could give to my family or anybody else that wants to watch it. Just goes to, I think I forgot what the website's called, but it's a website, that's dedicated to, people that are like overseas or just in a different country overall that want to watch, players playing in France. They can just do it from that site.
Is there anybody that you play with or against, a name or something that folks might recognize? Or
Uh, well, yeah, I mean, there's one, Darius McGee, who was,
okay,
yeah, one guard for Liberty. Yeah, he was in my league in Germany, and then when I went to France, he also went to France. This is my league there. So, um, yeah, I've had out of everybody that I've played against in college, I think I've had the most run-ins with him, which I don't like because he's a great player. It's
well,
hard to.
man, it's always good to talk to you, man. I wanted to catch you while you were still in town, but I know that schedule is always busy. Glad you got to come home for the holidays and see the family, and love that you're still doing your thing, man. Keep it up. We're all proud of you, and look forward to continuing watching your success as you continue to play the game you love and the game that has brought so much joy to you, and you've been able to make a career out of it.
Thanks for having me on, Michael.
You know what they say. Every great season starts with a strong lineup. Need agility? The Trailblazer cuts through traffic like a wide receiver in the red zone. Power? The Silverado handles work and tailgates like a linebacker on a mission. And if you're ready to go electric, the Equinox EV has the range to go all the way. No matter your game plan, Jack Burford Chevrolet has the vehicle that suits your drive. Stop in, suit up, and let's kick off your next adventure.
We would like to invite you to join our family at Bishop's Small Engine Repair.
Outdoor Power has become a family tradition, with 3 generations here bringing you years of experience.
We will help you find the best selection of outdoor power equipment from Cub Cadet, Grasshopper, DeWalt, Makita, Echo, Shindawa, and now still in our Georgetown store.
Or bring your equipment into our service department. We will keep it running for years to come.
And as with all families, we have to keep Mama happy. So come on in and see us at Bishop's Small Engine Repair in Richmond and in Georgetown.
Who makes the best meal in Richmond? Nuevo Vallarta. Friendly service, a place that's good for kids and good for groups. Head to Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond. Nuevo Vallarta is known for warm hospitality, great prices, great food, and the best fajitas in town. Start with an appetizer, order a la carte, or choose from their huge menu of Mexican favorites for grown-ups and kids. Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills. When you need legal advice, trust the located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
Welcome back into the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show. It is Monday night as usual. Michael Watkins is back with me. So excited to have you back. How was basketball
Listen,
practice?
don't be saying you're excited to have me back. I've done the show 4 weeks in a row by myself. It's nice to have you back in the fold, but listen, we got
some of us have places to be on Monday nights.
I get it. Same,
even
same.
if it's a little bit of a warmer climate.
Okay, well, I don't blame you. Hey, you missed some warm weather here, though.
That is true. It was just as warm here as it was in Florida. Maybe.
Well, so
Florida in the morning.
How about this show, though? We start the show off with Isaiah Cozart, former Madison Central great
and
basketball
had Coach
player.
Feldhouse in there. Wanted the Feldhouse.
He was talking about him and his relationship with Coach Feldhouse. Really good interview. Wanted to catch him while he was in town, but he had to get back and do big things playing overseas
and
in
his
France.
camera video went off.
His camera went
so
out
it was
while we were doing
you.
the interview. So it didn't want you to have to look at me the entire time, so we had to throw a little stuff in there. But
it's good
great
to see
interview.
him, though, and hear all about his career. And so many people know Isaiah Cozart from his many years of being a superstar at Madison Central and then at EKU.
Yeah, great things. He's still doing great things. And speaking of continuing to do great things, we've got a state champion in the house. The Madison Central cheerleaders are here with us.
I feel like we need a whole cheering crowd.
And Coach Feldhouse, I mean, you've seen so many great teams, and you've had so many great cheer squads come through here. What was different about this one? Was there anything that you can pinpoint that, and it seems like, and I asked Coach, Coach Feldhouse, both Mr. Feldhouse, kind of the same question every year, like, when you've got a good squad or a good team, can you compare them? And with this year's basketball team, he's like, we don't know if we've ever had this much size or this much shooting or whatever the case might be. So what is it about this team that makes them maybe kind of stick out or special?
Well, I think what was really special, you have to excuse my voice. I'm kind of struggling after the season and all the screaming. I think what was really different about this team is that we kind of feel like we're in a rebuilding phase. We went to the pinnacle and we were back-to-back national champions and then national runner-up. And I was graduating classes of 7 and 6 and 6. And so this is a young bunch. And even though I have 2 seniors with me tonight, I have Nichelle Spellacy and Ashlyn Caulfield leading the way. Nichelle's only been with me 2 years. So, even though I have some senior kind of people in the program, they haven't been there for the duration of cheer.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. So we're very young and limited in some areas still, just to physical development and some things in terms of stunning. So I don't want to say it was a shock on Saturday. We knew we'd make a run at it.
Yeah.
I don't think that, we knew what we had to do to stand a chance. Let's put it that way. And they gave it everything they had, and it just worked out for us.
Yeah. So who was the competition? You have to hit, right? That routine has to hit. All the pyramids go up, all the stunt groups go up, and that's what they call a hit, just in case.
I knew that. I knew what a hit was. Yeah.
So
that was
who was in the running that you guys at the end were like, okay, it's going to be one of us?
Actually, we I think all year from very beginning early on and trying to qualify for nationals, we run into different teams in the state of Kentucky. I feel like Kentucky is the hot spot, the mecca for cheer. We knew that Greenup County High School, we ran into them early in our regional. Pikeville is incredibly strong in tradition. Yeah. And then Louisville Eastern has been so we knew to look for those teams once the regional qualifiers were over. And that was exactly how the top 4 ended.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, when you talked about this team being young and kind of inexperienced, and we talked about the girls being a little nervous for coming on the show. What was it like for the whole team? Because if you've got, some young seniors and you've got a team that's young, were they nervous going into the state competition?
Do y'all want to talk about that?
Yeah, tell us about that. So
hop in there.
And as seniors, too, what can you do to try to calm those nerves a bit? What did you do before you came on the show tonight?
I think one thing that we do a lot is we pray.
Okay.
And that calms our emotions a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, another thing, they got here at 6 o'clock, 10 till 6.
The nervous system
They
build
walked
up.
in
Yeah.
when I walked in, and I was like, wait, you
Sounds
girls
about
are
right.
like really early.
I'm sorry, that's a Feldhouse rule. If I say practice is at 6, I mean what?
5:45.
5:45.
Hey, that's good, though.
I do remember that because, I have 2 daughters of this program, and so they know to never be late. If you're on time, then you're late.
Okay, so from now on, we're going to start the show at 5:30. So I need you here at 5:20.
late for the show.
You're not late,
You
but
are.
you are. Oh, and right now I am. But over the years, there's a track record. But
Okay, what I want to know is, Nichelle, you started out as a junior in this cheer program, right?
Yeah.
So what is your background? You don't just become a cheerleader, right?
I was a gymnast for as long as I can remember. I would say 10 years before this.
That's amazing.
So how does that transition to being a cheerleader?
I got injured.
Okay, but now how did the gymnast stuff help you become a cheerleader? Were you able to kind of take some of the stuff that you learned there and turn it into okay?
With tumbling and everything, I already kind of had that down, but stunning was a whole new world that I had to learn.
Well, and as Miss F always talks about, and I'll let you do it because you can talk much better and proficient with the aspect of the difference, like with basketball. If someone gets injured, you just move somebody right in from the lineup. And
next man up or next woman
man
up. Yeah.
You cannot do that with cheer. And Miss F always tells the parents right out of the gate, this is how we operate.
It's like working a puzzle, and they have very defined jobs, and you spend months of repetition getting rhythms and training skills and grips and dips and counts and physicality of learning certain parts. So certain girls are flyers, certain girls are bases, certain girls are, post, main, back spots. And so when somebody becomes injured, it can be just tragic.
Yeah.
It's just there's not always a person to fill those shoes. And I want to talk about Nichelle because, Ashlyn walks in one spring, we were doing spring practice, and she said, I have this girl, I think she might come. She runs track, but she's going to come after track. And she said, she might try out. I don't know. I can't. And I was like, okay. I said, well, what year is she? She goes, oh, she's a junior. And I was like, and she just woke up one day when she goes, well, I said, what does she have? Does she have any tumbling skills? She goes, she has a full. I was like, oh, I think we can figure this out, And then when I saw her and her physical strength and her size, and she, I was like, are you kidding me? So we were very lucky that the skies opened and that Nichelle dropped in with the classes that I was graduating.
Yes.
She's an extremely talented, humble young lady, and has been a terrific back spot for us.
And you've had other gymnasts come to the program.
I've had several in the last.
Yeah.
Ashlyn also being one of those. But she started her freshman year.
I remember Micah.
And she made the change, yes. And Micah, yes.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but there's always girls.
Alex was a gymnast.
Coming in from
had several.
gymnast program.
Did you have to recruit her? Did you have to, what was those conversations like as you were trying to get her to come out to practice?
I obviously really wanted her to be a part of the team because she was my best friend then. And I knew we were losing, some people. And I figured she'd be a really good add-on to the team. So I just really tried to talk the program up to her.
Did you build Miss F up too?
Yeah.
Hall of Fame coach. You will learn a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
actually, they're saying she's not as bad as she seems.
I was going to go there, but I didn't want to go there. But yeah,
I'll say it for you.
It is true. Everybody's always like, oh, but you know what? She's tough for a reason.
Oh, for sure.
This is why the program is what it is.
Exactly, and that's why. I mean, you look at the success that you have had. I saw your Facebook post today too, and it's a busy life that you all live, but it's so fulfilling.
The Feldhouse
right?
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, this weekend about sent me over the edge. But actually, I've been on that role for several months.
Yeah.
So
well, I remember.
Yeah, tell us that because a lot of people, some people watching may not know the entire scope of your 3 daughters and that you're not just here for these daughters, but your real 3 daughters.
Well, I think, Al and I have been at Madison Central. I think this is our 33rd year.
Wow.
As head basketball coach and cheer coach. We both are retired public educators from, a great school, I believe. And so this has been sort of a family journey. We had 1 ball player. And we had 2 cheerleaders that have gone through the program. So they're very emotionally attached to what we do here at Madison Central, even though as adults, I sort of think that poor things, they only grew up in a gym, so that's all they know. Their lives revolve around still.
Concession stand food.
As careers, their lives are all around basketball and cheer. But so our oldest daughter, Allie, works for Varsity Brands, and she's in the all-star cheer world. And then our middle daughter, Ashton Kate, is the new women's head coach at Morehead State University. And then Addison is at UK as the content creative director for the University of Kentucky men's basketball team. But she comes back to help me coach.
Yeah.
So Saturday, we had all of that in action. Like, we were trying to watch Ashton Kate on TV. Alan was playing in Montgomery County. We were trying to win a state championship. I had Addie with me, but she was on a limited clock because she had to get back for the UK game.
Yeah, that night.
Yeah. So it was just a really fun day for our family, but we were trying to make it all mesh together. We did get to cheer the game late.
Yeah.
So, and they're great team players. Like, when I was like, do we go on to the game? They're like, yes, let's go. Take our state championship sign. So they're all in for the ride too.
That's really cool.
And Ashton comes in to watch.
Yeah,
she was there Friday night for the Great Crossing game.
You know, my nephew Jake is playing for Allen, so you know, but yeah, Ash comes to support as much as she can.
That's not it's not a hard drive, but it's not an easy drive either.
Well,
you know, when you've got practice and then coming in.
You know, I think it's been different for us as a family only because you know, Ashton Kate is close enough now. Last year she was in Missouri, and that wasn't, you know, possible for us to see her coach or her to be a part of our programs again.
So how many games do you guys get to make to watch her in Morehead?
Actually, we have missed very few. Like, she plays this week on Thursday and Saturday, so that's kind of doable for us, I think, you know. So we've missed very few. I think I've missed one, which was Saturday. You know, I couldn't make that.
Understandably.
But Alan did before he went on to Montgomery County. So,
did.
you know, we tag team a lot. Yeah.
Well, and that was one of the
Kinda
things
have
that he
to.
told me, too, was, you know, the good thing about the college schedule now, they start in November. So you get a full month almost before you all have to kind of start and split things up. Which one's got the dog? There used to be the puppy that came to a lot of the games.
That's Addison.
Bad story?
No, that's Addison. She just has a lot.
Okay, yeah. Well,
she's got the
dogs are a
little,
source of-
the tiny little dog.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
Yeah, but I know, and listen, you talked about it being it's so cool to see all the different aspects of what you all do. Because how often do you and Coach Feldhaus just sit there and be like, man, we've got something special? Because you all, they're all the success that your girls have had and what you all been able to do with the programs here. Do you all ever just kind of sit back and just talk about it?
Not really. I don't think we, you
Kind of
know,
living in the moment?
We just kind of stay in the present. I think that's what you have to do. The girls will tell you that Coach Feldhaus makes himself. I never really go in his practices. I wouldn't know what's going on if they did, but he never stays out of mind. You want to take that? Because he's always in the gym. And he will come in and sit and observe.
Yeah, he just like sits there and like takes it all in.
Well, he comes to nationals sometimes. I don't know if he still
he
does.
hasn't been
He
to
used
nationals
to.
for a very long time.
Well, I think that was back in
He gets
McKenzie's
really
time.
nervous. Like he said, Karen, it's just easier if I don't. He gets so torn up when they take the mat, but he will come in and observe their practice and talk. And when I get home, sometimes he'll say, "What are you going to do about that? That didn't look very good." I'm like, you know, like he critiques what's happening in the practice, you know. So I'll go back and tell him. So I would say he tries to coach my program a little more than I coach his, certainly, and he wouldn't take my advice anyway. But so no, we don't really sit around and talk about it. We just try to stay in the present and work really hard with what we've got and make the most of it and have fun.
Well, girls,
and I think we've had a great time with this group. I'm really proud of them.
I can see how, because watching the routine
Yeah.
was amazing. So, girls, talk to us about Saturday. Talk to us about the emotion of it all. Talk to us about what, like Michael said, when you go out on the mat, what was it like?
Well, Miss Steph always tells us to block and focus and really just focus on ourselves. Like, after we hit our routine, there's nothing else we can do with like the score sheets or anything. So once we focus and hit the routine, it was all in someone else's hands for us. So
did you watch the competition at all? That's not really blocking, right? So
yeah, we kind of got there early and just stretched and focused on ourselves and talked in our groups. But
I think that's kind of how you have to, right?
Yeah,
if you're really
for
going to block it out and only focus on yourself. So once you hit, you're jumping up and down on the mat because you know you've hit and everybody's excited. Talk to us about when you walk off. Do you get to watch the routine back?
We did. They had a video for us, Addie videoed.
Yeah.
And
we
then
would
you got
watch
to
that.
see it. And then tell us your thoughts.
Like, what was the excitement like?
I know they've watched it. They're being so calm, but I know
They
they've
are
watched
being
it
calm.
10,000
we've watched
times.
it a lot.
So just talk about the video. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you're watching that video, what's going through your mind? Like, man, we really just killed that thing.
Because you've been at practice where you've seen some stunt fall, and you're like, oh, my gosh, they nailed it.
yeah, Our warm up was like we fell in warm up, so
I think that's good luck, though, right? You want to fall in warm up,
yeah, to get it over with. I
Yeah,
guess.
get it out of
do
the
it
way.
in warm up.
Yeah.
So how did you feel? Both of you talk.
It was just like a rush of emotions, excitement. All the nerves were gone.
Yeah. In the moment, like on the mat, you kind of like forget everything that's going on. So like when we watched the video after, I was like, oh, it looks so good. Like it doesn't, I don't know, it's hard to feel like in the moment, I guess.
You like forget what happened until you rewatch it.
Yeah.
Well, what do you? Well, I was going to ask too, because whenever you do all this, you obviously there's a point in the season, and Coach, maybe you can answer this too, but when you realize, oh, we have a shot, especially with a young team, was there like a moment, maybe a practice, or a day, maybe one of the days where you just the routine looked really good, where you're like, oh, okay, we have a shot to do something special this year?
For me, it was at our UCA regional.
Okay.
I think we all went in it kind of nervous, not expecting to do as good as we did in it.
So they were first out of 9 teams.
Okay.
And they won the UCA Ohio regional qualifier. So there were 9 teams there. Some Kentucky teams, but, you know, we tried to do that early this year. We tried to run our routine a little earlier.
Yeah.
Because last year we did not do an event prior to our Kentucky regional.
Okay.
And we sort of fell apart at the end.
So get one kind of under your belt before that one,
And I thought that was poor coaching on my part. I take full responsibility in that. And I just knew that this year I had to get them out of the gate earlier. And we had to do a couple things, even if they went south. And so we did the Ohio Regional, and they were first out of 9 teams. So I think that was a big confidence builder. I think they shocked themselves.
Yeah.
And then from that point on in the gym, I felt a shift. So, you know, I think doing the Kentucky Regional then this year, which was held at Mason County High School, I think it was about redeeming themselves because last year they fell apart.
Yeah.
And so they really practiced hard, and we practiced on, and when I say block and focus, you know, I've tried to teach them that they cannot control. I think that's a life thing. You can't control anything around you.
Yeah.
You've got to learn to stay in the moment, stay in the present, and just be you. And give me your best. If that's all you got to offer, we'll go with that. If we've done our best, then we've done all we can do.
Exactly.
So, you know, I always tell them that the score sheets are not in your hands. What you can control is what we've designed in this routine. And so they've totally bought in. I think it's a super sweet group. We have 2 seniors, 3 juniors, 6 sophomores. So the heartbeat of our team is primarily our sophomore class, 2 freshmen, and 2 8th graders on the mat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're painfully young.
Yeah. Well, as a coach, too, when you've had experienced teams, when you've had younger teams, do you change anything up that you do? Or, I mean, when you got younger ones, do you kind of cuddle them more? Or do you just like, hey, this is what you gotta expect?
Well, she changed it up this year. Going to Ohio to do this UCA is different. She usually goes to Tennessee.
And last year I did the Kentucky regional. No, I'm not a coddler.
Okay.
So
Samantha's not either. I try to get her to coddle. When I've had a bad day, she's
sometimes I have to remind myself that, you know, I do have some younger ones in the gym. Sometimes I can catch their looks of like, oh, I feel bad. You know, like, so I have to check myself a little bit. I'm very intense and very passionate about what I do. And I don't make excuses for coaching.
Yeah.
You know, I think that this is a tough world. The athletic side of cheer is brutal right now.
Yeah.
And it just keeps getting harder and harder and more dangerous. And, you know, there's a certain amount of gymnastics, there's a certain amount of physical strength, there's a certain amount of knowledge and training that goes into the elite stunning. And so we work all summer. I mean, they tried out in April, and we started in May, kind of just, you know, with open gyms, and we have a strength coach, a tumbling coach, whatever. It's a lot of training. We do a lot of camps and clinics to get them. And then we're covering multiple seasons. These girls cheer football, they cheer girls basketball, they cheer boys basketball. And so I think competition is so important because that's where they as athletes are recognized. Yeah. And so our competition season can be kind of brutal too, but it's been insanely I think it's all more than what we envisioned. Correct me if I'm wrong, you know. I think, but like we said, everything has just been boom, boom, boom so far. So we'll finish out strong, like at the national championships, hopefully.
And that's when?
The second weekend in February or the 6th that weekend, if that's the second weekend, I'm not sure.
In years past, wasn't like nationals before state, or like the schedule was kind of different?
Well, it might have been during COVID, maybe.
Well, for years, Nationals was before state, and state was in March. And then the KHSAA, when they took over, then the state championships became in December. And see, that was different for us because we were snowed out.
Yeah.
So then we got pushed. So actually, we're doing the state championships a little bit later.
Okay.
It was kind of interesting, too. So it's been kind of an up-down year of that stuff.
I mentioned to the girls before the show, like, you're ready 3 weeks ago. And then because of weather, state competition for cheer and dance got pushed back. How was that?
It was definitely a mental shift we had to have just because we didn't think about the Christmas break that we'd have. And it's definitely hard to take a break and then come back and with the endurance running your routine. So we really had to plan.
Yeah, we also had a lot of sicknesses during that time. So everybody was in and out. And if there's one person missing, then we can't.
Well, trying to navigate holiday schedules and things too. People go out of town. I mean, it's very, very difficult. What was it like during the holiday break? How was practices? Sometimes when you've got a couple of weeks off of school, it's hard to get yourself going, that routine that you're normally in of, okay, wake up, do our, get ready for school, go to school, then go to practice. What was it like to do all of this and not be in school?
We practiced every day still, and then we also cheered a tournament over the break.
We didn't practice on Christmas Day.
Okay, so not on the holidays.
We had 3 days off.
No, I'm just kidding. We actually got 4.
Don't slide her now.
No.
But Coach, on that point, you talked about being a coach and how things change.
Sorry.
I have seen so many times over the last 4 or 5 years, maybe even a little bit longer than that, where, and it's, as a coach, you've seen the way things were done 33 years ago to how they're done now. It's a lot different. And I think kids are different. There's a lot more things that get their attention. There's a lot more things, well, I don't have to do that. I can just go back home. Whereas 30 years ago, you didn't have it. Like, parents were a lot stricter. How's that been navigating through all the changes? Because, listen, you wouldn't believe how many times I've got messages from parents like, let me tell you what this coach did. Want me to do something about it. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do?
Right.
But as a coach, have you seen that a lot from, with the way you kind of have to maybe navigate parents, navigate the athletes that you coach?
I think there's definitely a switch in society. I think, and, sometimes I wonder if it's just my age, because I've been at it so very long. This is my 39th year as a head varsity cheer coach, so I've seen a lot and endured a lot and weathered a lot of storms in my time. But I hold true to the fact that we still deal with a lot of great kids, and so when there's great kids, there's usually great supportive parents behind them. And I think certainly every program, people go, oh, I wish I was at Madison. There's no such thing as a perfect program. There's no such thing as a perfect parent group, a perfect whatever. That just doesn't exist. Yeah. I do think the work ethic for kids today is a little bit different, and how we approach things. And I think that it maybe is they have so many more options to do. I just had this conversation with somebody this week about the girls' sports at Madison Central. We're seeing a low number come through. But I think when you have volleyball and basketball and so many more options for females, like
wrestling,
everything, and it's just it's a change. And I think that I always tell them there's one constant in the cheer world, it's change, and you got to go with it. Yeah. You may not like it, but you've got to go with it. So, I just try to focus on positive. I always say,
positive breeds positive.
Okay.
There it is. True. And I do, before we start talking about nationals, we may need to take a commercial break, but I do want to say, there are teams out there that recognize the greatness of this Madison Central cheer program. And the money, it takes a lot of money to keep this program going.
It's hard.
The parents will always realize that between selling the basketball programs, the poinsettias, and everything else that you guys do and accomplish. But, I mean, there are coaches out there of high school cheerleaders making I don't know what you make, Coach, but I know they're...
You don't want to know.
They're getting a lot of money.
Yeah.
They're making a lot of money as a cheer coach in a high school that's a private school trying to beat Madison Central.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I think you're referring to modern day.
I am. I wasn't going to say it.
Just say it out loud. I doubt that Katie Bowers is watching, but yeah, there are schools. Modern day's coach was recruited from El Dorado to there, and I think her salary is insane. And so,
Just
you
to
know,
try to win a championship, right?
well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
one of the top schools in the country. You know, we just look at the Heisman Trophy winners that come
Yeah.
out of modern day high
Yeah.
school. And so I think, you know, Samantha is familiar because her daughter was on
Yeah.
our program at the time. We were winning national championships, and modern day was on my heels the whole way. So, but for Madison Central High School to be able to go and compete on cheerleading's largest stage in the country against those teams.
Yeah.
You know, it's against the Owassos and the Mater Days and the Mountain Vistas, all those schools. Like, it's pretty amazing what our kids are able to do.
Yeah.
Well, if you are cool with that, we'll take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show with you all talking about nationals and what's
Okay.
next for the cheer squad. Let's do that. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show. Look at you catching the commercial break. I'm so proud of you.
You know what they say. Every great season starts with a strong lineup. Need agility? The Trailblazer cuts through traffic like a wide receiver in the red zone. Power? The Silverado handles work and tailgates like a linebacker on a mission. And if you're ready to go electric, the Equinox EV has the range to go all the way. No matter your game plan, Jack Burford Chevrolet has the vehicle that suits your drive. Stop in, suit up, and let's kick off your next adventure.
We would like to invite you to join our family at Bishop's Small Engine Repair.
Outdoor Power has become a family tradition, with 3 generations here bringing you years of experience.
We will help you find the best selection of outdoor power equipment from Cub Cadet, Grasshopper, DeWalt, Makita, Echo, Shindawa, and now Steel in our Georgetown store.
Or bring your equipment into our service department. We will keep it running for years to come.
And as with all families, we have to keep Mama happy. So come on in and see us at Bishop's Small Engine Repair in Richmond and in Georgetown.
Who makes the best meal in Richmond? Nuevo Vallarta. Friendly service, a place that's good for kids and good for groups. Head to Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond. Nuevo Vallarta is known for warm hospitality, great prices, great food, and the best fajitas in town. Start with an appetizer, order a la carte, or choose from their huge menu of Mexican favorites for grown-ups and kids. Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
Back here on the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show, wrapping things up with the Madison Central cheerleaders, Coach Feldhouse and
We
pair
can
of
have them on
seniors.
for a whole hour.
Oh, yeah. Well, we
Talk and
always
cheer.
do. Yeah. And listen, we're more comfortable now, so we got nationals next, right?
Yes.
So what's preparation like? What's the plan? And you know, when Coach Feldhouse has done this, you probably have a system in place as you all prepare for it. So as you all wrap up things from this past weekend and look ahead, what's next for you all?
Definitely just getting our routine out there as much as possible with like showcases and everything. It's definitely different though, having state like so close to nationals, because usually we have like a larger time period to upgrade our skills and everything. But this year is kind of different.
Well, I was wondering, are you going to make the routine harder, or do you stay with the same routine?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
We have a
Make
few
it harder.
upgrades in mind
Okay.
that we're hoping to put in.
Yeah.
And Coach, for you, how hard is that to, like, when you got an inexperienced
hard.
team? How do you try to pull them along with maybe making a few adjustments before nationals?
Well, I think we've been working those adjustments for some time. We've just not been able to put them in. You know, I'm pretty big on execution. If it's not going to happen in my gym, it's not going to happen anywhere else. So I don't live unrealistically and hope that they get an adrenaline push and a brain when they get out there. I make them hit it in my gym. We have a 3-run rule. We're going to run our routine 3 times. They're going to run, hit, breathe, run, hit, breathe, run, hit, breathe. We have a large sign. Y'all can talk about that. We've been charting all along. I'm pretty sticky about, when they're rewarded stars. Like the other day when they got back, they asked if I would put the star on their thing, and I wrote this big star and put state champs. And then sometimes I will give them extra things, and then they cheered. And Addie goes, it's the small things in life that matters. Or somebody was in there. I'm like, you have no idea. Because they work hard. I don't reward them unless. But, yeah, I have a few things in mind and that we're going to try to target to upgrade skills, obviously, to score better. We'll take the score sheets from state. And, but at the same time, we're in a, usually there are over 100 and some odd teams in our division. Last year, I think there was 112.
Yeah.
And we finished 12th. And that was with a slight penalty. We would have actually ended in the top 10 had we not taken that penalty. So we're going to try to minimize our penalties and look at some things. And our skills are much greater, but, year to year, the teams are different. So you just kind of hope for the best, work really hard and hope for the best. And in the meantime, I'd like to point out that there, like we have 3 games or 4 games this week to cheer, if not 5.
A doubleheader tomorrow night.
Right. So they're cheering on top of all of that.
Yeah. But do y'all practice the day of a game too? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they'll come in after school, and we typically run, and we try to target what we work on each given day. And sometimes I have to strategically plan. Like I've never ever pulled. We do not have a JV team this year, which is something new for us. So typically I'm running 2 teams, and I don't have a JV team this year. The numbers just weren't conducive to do it. So we do have some extra bodies, but we don't have an entire squad. So these kids are kind of double whammied right now. Like we're trying to cover, and I've never pulled them on a Friday night game. Certainly, and I was thinking during that game, like, oh, this is, like we are needed. But at some point, I think I have to put them first.
Yeah.
They cheer for everyone else all year long, and this is their big moment. And I have no regrets now. But at Friday night, I was kind of like, okay, maybe they could have handled both, but I never know what I'm doing sometimes.
No, they did just fine without you guys. They
So
had
they
a big
did.
win
They pulled
over
it
Great
through.
Crossing.
But yeah, so we'll go as far as we can and do what we can and get to nationals and give it a run.
Yeah.
I think they're excited about it, and then we'll come home and cheer on our Indians, which is what we do best.
And that was the middle of February?
It's the weekend of the 6th, 7th. It's really
the Super Bowl
early.
weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, it usually is Super Bowl
It
weekend.
is.
I've been in the airport.
So Super Bowl is on the
coming home.
8th this year, so the 7th is the Saturday.
Yeah,
So
that weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good deal.
Yeah.
So as you prepare these next few weeks, will you like to be at the games tomorrow night, the game on Friday night with Southern Central boys?
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah. We have a double like tomorrow night's both boys and girls.
Yeah. That's the girls play Lexcath, the boys play West Jessamine, and then Friday night's the big game. Got one more question for him?
Well, that is hard because usually the JV would do girls and varsity do boys, and sometimes they alternate, and now that's all on them. So plus
it's
having
hard.
practice, so it is very challenging.
And they're clocking about 12 to give or so hours a week. Is that fair adjustment?
Okay.
We go 6 days a week. I mean, we have to make up on Saturday mornings what we can't get in through the week, and it's a grind. I think and it is hard for kids to acclimate to our program, coming from non-competitive cheer programs. And I will say we have a rec program that is still intact. Yeah. So
and is that middle school age, a little bit younger than that?
It's kind of a combination.
Okay.
It's gotten a little bit young, but they're working very, very hard. It really goes all the way through our high school freshmen. So I was able to place several freshman girls on that team to still be able to get on mat at national. So I'm excited about that. I think there's about 20 some of them on that team.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I will say that my sophomore class and everybody underneath all came from our rec program.
That's
in our
the
rec
feeders,
program. Our rec program's not in competition with our middle schools. It's a bonus kind of thing because none of our middle schools attend the national championship. So we want our kids to cheer in the middle schools because high school cheerleading is really what it's all about.
Yeah.
But no one is competing. So we started that program in addition so they could maybe get a little experience in 2.5 minutes.
It's like the 3rd or 4th year you've done that?
I think it's our 4th.
4th, yeah.
If not 5th. I mean, it's been going a while.
Yeah.
So those girls that are our sophomores were our first really, and one junior, I think, well, then maybe the juniors, they were our rec kids. So it's paid huge dividends, I think,
We
for
have
us.
so many coaches that talk about wishing that they had a feeder
programs,
going into that.
Yeah,
Well, it's hard. There's so many middle
Yeah.
schools in Madison County. It's hard for you to kind of have an imprint on all the different teams because, and middle school coaches, they don't get paid a whole lot either. So
No.
it's hard to keep one consistent. It might be a parent for a year or two, and then their kid goes on to high school, and then they give it up. So it's very difficult to keep that consistently
And
going.
I think it's a struggle for middle school administration, always to keep those people in place and keep them consistent. So if you've got somebody that's willing to work in your building and that's great. So,
well, ladies, congratulations from this weekend. Big things
Thank
still
you so
ahead.
much for having
good
us.
luck to you all in the national
varsity
championships.
subscriptions. So between all my households, we'll be watching.
all right. Well,
yes.
We'll work really hard. Hopefully, we'll make a great showing.
Oh, you will.
Yeah.
I
That's
know.
the Madison Central
Fingers
Cheer
crossed.
state champs, and more things on the horizon for them. This week for us, tomorrow night, doubleheader action. You can catch both the Madison Central girls and Lexcat and the boys taking on West Jess. And then Friday night, the Madison Central boys versus Madison Southern. Another busy week for us here, Samantha. You
right.
be in both nights? You gonna be
I'm in.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Congratulations, ladies, once again for Isaiah Cozart and the state champs for joining us here tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time
Bye,
on the Jack
everybody.
Burford Chevrolet Sports Show.